Hello Cowboys Nation, welcome to another video, and without further ado, let's get to another round of news from America's team. 3 keys to the game for Cowboys against the Panthers. It's not often that for 3 straight years, a team goes on the road to play an opponent that isn't in their division in the NFL. Nonetheless, that'll be the case for the Cowboys this Sunday as they head back to Carolina and take on the Panthers for their second straight road game after a 37-22 win over the New York Jets last Sunday. The good news is history has been kind to Dallas in this environment, with back-to-back wins in Charlotte in 2023 and 2024 by 33-10 and 30-14 margins respectively. What will the Cowboys have to do to make it 3 straight wins in as many years over the Panthers? 1. A chance for the Dak Ferguson connection to return. Through 5 games, Jake Ferguson leads all tight ends in the NFL in receptions with 41-12 more than the next closest player. Still, he and Dak Prescott have struggled to connect on one of their bread-and-butter routes, the throw up the seam that helped Ferguson earn a Pro Bowl nod in 2023. From a few passes that sailed high to Ferguson getting rocked on a couple of them too, it's an aspect of the offense that Dallas would love to have back. The good news is there's a pretty good opportunity awaiting them against the Panthers to re-establish that connection, or at least build some confidence in it. With the Cowboys trending towards being without both CeeDee Lamb and Cavani Turpin once again on Sunday, there's no reason to expect any sort of slowdown in Ferguson's targets and opportunities to move the ball down the field for the Cowboys on offense. In their last 2 meetings the last 2 years, Ferguson has caught 5 passes for 55 yards against Carolina, which isn't promising, but note that other receivers like CeeDee Lamb, Brandon Cooks and Michael Gallup were also playing, which led to the wealth being spread a little bit. With a more condensed array of receivers this week, it's a chance for Ferguson to have one of his bigger games this season. 2. Opportunity for consistency in the pass rush. Speaking of opportunities, the Cowboys' pass rush has won in this game as well. After matching their season total in sacks through the first 4 games with 5 against the Jets last week, they'll face a Panthers unit that they've had a lot of success against the last 2 years. In 2024 and 2023, Dallas defense had a combined 13 sacks on Bryce Young. Sure, they also had Micah Parsons during those 2 seasons and now will feature a completely different unit of pass rushers, but their offensive line has struggled, especially on the edges. The Cowboys' defense has been far from consistent to start the year, but Carolina serves as an opportunity to try and find some more of it at the very least from a pass rushing perspective. When under pressure in 2025, Young has completed 49.1% of his passes for 315 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 2 interceptions. That's on track to be much better than his numbers in that category the last 2 seasons, but there could still be opportunities for Dallas defense to capitalize on some errant throws. 3. Put seatbelts on the opposing offense. Former Cowboys running back Rico Dowdle said earlier in the week that his former team would need to buckle up going against him as he prepares to be the lead back for the Panthers for the 2nd straight week. With Chuba Hubbard missing 2 days of practice with a calf injury, Dowdle is on track to be the lead back for Carolina on the heels of a career-high 206-yard rushing performance last week against the Dolphins. Cowboys head coach Brian Schottenheimer jokingly said during the week that they'd have their seatbelts buckled in for the challenge, and they'll certainly have to given how the defense has performed against the run in the last 2 weeks. Through the first 3 weeks of the season, Dallas' run defense gave up 329 yards and 4 touchdowns on the ground, just below the top half of the league. In the 2 games since, they've given up nearly that same amount, with 308 rushing yards and 2 touchdowns allowed against the Packers and Jets, the 3rd most in the NFL during that time span. Last week was the first time that Dowdle has gotten a bulk of the carries out of the backfield for Carolina, and he'll be going up against a different defensive scheme than he did in practice with his former team last season. Still, some of the same players are in the fold and he'll know where vulnerabilities are. The good thing for Dallas is the inverse is the same for them defensively, as plenty of players and coaches alike are familiar with Dowdle's game from the previous 4 seasons he spent with the Cowboys. Max Crosby trade makes the Cowboys elite in 2025. NFL teams are reportedly calling the Raiders about Max Crosby. If the Cowboys entered the mix, their complete skill set could finally fix Dallas' defensive front. The Las Vegas Raiders are once again in the middle of trade speculation, with several reports confirming that teams have reached out about defensive end Max Crosby. While the Raiders aren't actively shopping their superstar, they're not turning away calls either, and that's enough to intrigue a contender like the Dallas Cowboys. Dallas has the offensive firepower to contend, but its defense has struggled to find identity or consistency. If Jerry Jones truly believes this roster is capable of a Super Bowl run, a move for Crosby could be the kind of all-in swing that defines a season. Crosby's 3-year, $106.5 million extension gives Las Vegas financial control, but it also makes him their most valuable trade asset. With the Raiders sitting near the bottom of the AFC West, the idea of retooling with premium draft capital has gained traction. According to multiple reports, at least 3 teams have made exploratory calls, knowing Crosby's competitiveness might not align with another rebuild. A serious offer from a contender could finally test the Raiders' resolve. Cowboys fans will inevitably respond, "Why go after Crosby when we already had Micah Parsons?" The truth, Parsons and Crosby aren't the same type of defender. Parsons is an explosive hybrid, a linebacker who rushes the passer. Crosby is a complete, 3-down defensive end built to dominate against both the run and the pass. Dallas doesn't need more flash. It needs foundation. Crosby is that foundation. Crosby's ability to handle 90% plus of defensive snaps and maintain production shows why coaches see him as a true defensive end, not a situational weapon. Parsons can flip a game, Crosby can control one. This Dallas defense has lacked edge containment and balance. The run defense ranks bottom 10 in the NFL, allowing 4.8 yards per carry on outside runs, and opponents frequently attack the perimeter. Pairing Max Crosby with James Houston, Osa Odigizua, and Kenny Clark would immediately change the tone. Crosby's consistency would allow defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus to simplify his scheme, relying more on 4-man fronts and natural pressure, rather than desperate blitzes that expose the secondary. For Dallas, this is the kind of swing that separates contenders from pretenders. Crosby isn't a luxury, he's the difference between good and great. He's the player who fixes the edge, raises the locker room standard, and gives the defense a relentless heartbeat.